Welcome to the Last Mile Profits videocast, the last word on the last mile. A German report has discovered that a retailer's returns process may not be as green as they claim. Find out more after this short message from our sponsor. Modern Expo provides an integral ecosystem of screen-operated lockers, screenless autonomous solutions, refrigerated lockers, and even personal parcel lockers, powered by an in-house developed software. Well, hello, Marek, and it's always fair to say that returns and the problem of returns has been the bane of life in logistics. Now, a recent investigation by a German magazine has discovered that one retailer, an apparel retailer, isn't quite as green in that department as it's claiming to be. What do you know about this?
Yeah, this is a big deal, Peter, and it's not just this one retailer. Returns are a real pain in the neck. And there are a lot of issues around them. First of all, how do you deal with them? Somebody needs to segregate, decide what can be resold. Ideally, it should be done in a relatively low-cost market. So this could lead to an item perhaps in Western Germany ending up in Eastern Poland to be checked and perhaps repackaged, or something that worries me a lot more, destroyed. So, there are reasons for it. My biggest concern, Peter, I don't know what your view is, but given the fact that, because of the war in Ukraine, we have now not even hundreds of thousands, I'd say millions of people without a roof, sometimes over their head, needing clothing and other items. How on earth can we throw these things away?
It's disgusting, isn't it? It's a real misbalance there. The real challenge with returns is it's like salmon swimming upstream. Everything seems to be geared towards the downstream, and yet when something comes up the other way, it just doesn't seem to be smoothly processed like it could be. The real challenge, I think, there is also from the perspective of the customer. If you want to buy a pair of shoes in a shop, you'll try a few on before you reach the right ones. If you want to buy a pair of shoes online, well, get one a little bit bigger, get a pair a bit bigger, get a pair a little smaller, and hopefully the one in the middle will be right, and send the other two pairs back. It's hideous, and certainly, specifically amongst younger teenagers and teenage girls in particular, the levels of returns in some areas, particularly around tight-fitting clothes, are up in the 90s. It's absolutely crazy.
You know what, though, Peter? I think because my view is it can work, because if the return's packed well, the packaging is not damaged, and actually there is thought in advance of how to create packaging that means a return does not require complete, repackaging, cleaning up, and so on. So I think, it needs a bit of a deep dive. This isn't, by the way, so last mile, but it's a cool topic, so I think it's worth talking about. But if the retailer were to do, I think, a couple of things. Number one is standard Pareto rules. You probably find the very small number of customers are the ones that send back the dirty returns, the ones that have been worn on a hen's night or whatever else. And actually, one really good one, it's a real case that we were talking to someone recently. Apparently, a lot of wedding dresses are returned after being used. So, I think part of it is having a good system to deal with the people that are really blatantly, misusing the situation. The second thing is perhaps think about packaging, because some of the stuff that I get, the packaging is such that there's no other way than to tear it open, and that packaging cannot be reused. Maybe packaging should be designed in a way just like outer packaging is from Amazon or Zalando or the others, so that you can reseal it quite often. And then I think the final thing is, let's really go green. Peter, I shared with you earlier my immense frustration. We're about to close the Green Last Mile report. And what drove me absolutely crazy, all of the big carriers that are, screaming from the rooftops about how green they are. I won't say all, but many of them have nothing. Or it would appear they have nothing because they don't seem to want to share the projects. My feeling is because when you dive deeply into the projects, you can see that they're not as green as they suggest. So one thing I will say, great stuff, all the Nordic posts have been really, really good. And I just wish we'd have more of that. But I just had to make that plug because I find that so frustrating.
Why am I not surprised that again it's the Nordics that are leading the way in this area? I mean, greenwashing is a term that's applied across all sectors of industry, and I think the retailer in particular, which has been found out by this German investigative journalism, they're ones that actually they use it very much as one of their sales pitches. It's a USP for them. Look how green we are, and the reality is, wow, they're getting away with it and they're not getting challenged for it, which, as you say, in these times is absolutely crazy that a piece of clothing is traveling 7,000 miles only to be destroyed. I have to say, I quite like the way they did it. They geotagged secretly some returned goods and crowded around and had a little look to see where they were going. And I think in one case, a piece travelled so far that the battery on the geotag had actually run down before it even reached its final destination.
Peter, to be fair to them, sometimes there is good reason for something to travel a bit further. I mean, I would hope it travels by road, not by air, and I'd hope it's efficient, but it could be that in some cases you have a regional centre for repackaging and so on, so that does make sense. The tags, there's a guy who put air tags on parcels being sent by an express carrier to North Korea. It was quite interesting to see where they went. So some of them ended up in South Korea, some went through China, which makes a bit of sense, I suppose, in terms of how to get it to North Korea. But I think, Peter, a lot more can be done in this space. And it's not just the retailers, it's us, the consumer. Because if we were to really say, look, this is important to us, we will take care, I think it would be a lot better.
Well, Marek, last mile profits is the last word on the last mile. And is there anything we can do in the last mile network to expedite some of these returns? Can we make the system either smoother or indeed more difficult, just to act as a little bit of an incentive not to buy three when one will do?
I think one of the most important things is PUDOs and lockers. So it's a very efficient return. It's a consolidated pickup. You don't have one courier driving to Peter's place or Marek's place to perhaps pick up one parcel. So I think that's really important. The second thing is it's not so much, I think, the last mile, it's more the retailers who need to start charging for returns. And I think some of them are now. And the third thing, it's all stakeholders that have an interest, I believe, and things like our videocast hopefully will get some people to take a step back and think, hold on, should it really work this way? Are there not better things to be done?
Yep, totally agree with that. Well, perhaps you and I can't bring greenwashing to an end on our own, but it's certainly a start. I'd love to know what viewers think about that. Please leave all your comments about greenwashing, about returns, and anything that affects the last mile in the comments below. Thanks, Marek. Great chatting with you again.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you, everyone. I'll just add one thing. We're about to issue the 2023 Green Last Mile report. So if you're interested, you'll see who really is green and who's really walking the talk in this space.
And where can we find out more about that?
Find out more. We'll be posting on LinkedIn, and I'm sure Last Mile Profits will share information when it's coming out. But generally, you can go on to Last Mile Experts' website, www.lastmileexperts.com, and you can see all the reports or the latest reports under the reports section.
Thank you for watching the Last Mile Profits video. For more free analysis of the last mile, please like, follow, and subscribe below to ensure you are notified every time we upload new content.